I'm curious from you who the biggest standouts so far in the fall have been from a hitting standpoint, just what's impressed you about the unit and kind of what stood out so far.
Number one, Drew Swift keeps getting better and better every day, building off of, I thought after his freshman year, I think he hit like 201 and then raised his average 65, 70 points. And then you guys saw what he did last year. And then he's just building off it. He's stronger, he's smarter, a lot of reps under his belt. He's the obvious one for me. After that, Kai Murphy he impresses me every single day. I mean, that kid he's a stud. He reminds me of Hunter Jump a lot, similar type player in the box. So with those two guys, those two little scrappy lefties, I think they're going to cause a lot of havoc. So Swift and Kai, and Jump's always good. So he never impresses me. I just kind of expect it out of him. So, and then just all the way around, Connor Davis, what a great addition for us. He had some thump middle of the order, and he gives good at bats. We got a lot of guys just giving really good at bats, and pretty strong, 1 through 9.
Jeff.
Ben was talking about Kai and just his deep connection to ASU. How do you see that? I mean, you're an ASU guy. How do you see that kind of come out in the way he approaches being here now?
I mean, the kid loves to be here. I'm sure that kid wanted to play here his whole life, and you can see it every day. He does not take a day off. I think he might have turned his ankle a little bit early in the fall, and I had to beg him to take a couple days off, and he's just the epitome of a baseball player. I can't say enough about it. And it's funny because I thought he was coming in as a pitcher, but he would send me videos before I knew him this summer of him hitting, and I'm like that guy can hit for sure. And then he came in, and it was the same deal. So he's great. I mean, he's everything you want in a freshman and a player and a person. And he not only does he love baseball, but he loves ASU, and I think that really shows in his day-to-day preparation and work.
Jacob.
I'm curious how you go about not replacing, but kind of filling the hole left by some of the guys that you lost over the offseason with the draft and everything from a hitting standpoint. Is there kind of an approach in terms of replacing those guys? How do you kind of tackle that?
Our motto, or I guess theme, has been we're not going to try to replace them, so to speak. We met early on, and I was real honest with the guys, and I said, look, I don't think there's anyone on this team going to hit 20 home runs. Now, I hope you do, but that's just not who we are. And we've kind of been known for hitting the home runs, and we've just pivoted. I mean, and guys have really bought in. Our motto is we're going to throw jabs. We're going to throw jabs, 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 and then we'll throw those knockout punches when they come. But the guys have been super bought in. I mean, it's easy to get guys to buy in when you've had success. So this group, especially from day one, has been bought into everything we're doing. And we're just trying to base hit people, and we have been. I mean, a lot of I think we'll hit for power in a different way. Doubles, triples, we'll pop some here and there. And maybe a guy comes out and surprises us. So as long as we don't get outside ourselves and stay with who we are, I think we're going to have, we're going to be pretty relentless 1 through 9.
Alex.
Hey, Coach. So Skip said earlier about Aubrey Major being, better from the left side than the right side. What have you seen from him in that regard?
Yeah, so Aubrey came in as a switch hitter, and we suggested to him pretty early to just go left. So he's been doing that. He's handled left-on-left pitching well. His left-handed swing it's elite. I mean, it's a pro-ready swing. It's smooth. It's one of those lefty swings you see, and you're like, oh man, that's a smooth lefty swing. So he's good at bats, good approach. He has the ability to really hit for some power. It'll just be him being consistent with it. But other than that, it's about as pretty as a left-handed swing as you can get.
Jacob.
You mentioned the motto of just kind of throwing jabs, and you're not trying to throw these home run knockout punches throughout games. How much does Joe Lampe bring to the table in that regard, just in terms of the speed and the ability to make contact to the gaps? What does he bring to the table?
I think I might have read you tweeted Skip touched on his speed, so I'll touch on it again. He's one of the fastest players I've ever seen on a baseball field. I'll tell you a quick story. When my first year in rookie ball, I was in right field, and we had a guy in center field, and Billy Hamilton, hit a ball in between us, and it was high grass, and it kind of stuck. And me and Randall Thorpe, my buddy, we ran. Ball was right between us. We looked at each other, looked up, and Billy had hit second and went to third. And I said, that's the first time I ever seen a guy turn a single into a triple. Well, Joe the other day became the second guy. He hit just a routine kind of ground ball to right. It wasn't air. The right fielder bobbled it. He never broke stride. When he picked the ball up, he was on second and he went to third. So that's the kind of speed we've never had speed like that here. I mean, it's elite top end speed, and it really puts pressure on the defense. I mean, routine ground balls to second base, like the umpire is going to have to be ready to make a quick call. So yes, it really does give you a different element we have not had here before. And, he's really good off right-handed pitching. He's gotten better off left-handed pitching, and just being able to spray the ball around and have good at-bats. But yeah, his speed is real. I mean, when you guys see it, you're gonna be like, wow, like that dude can really, really run.
Michael.
Yeah, Coach, you're talking about obviously guys coming in. You're liking look. I mean, from when it shut down last year, I mean, hitting is one of those things. I mean, it's muscle memory, and you being a coach and being able around them, giving them little adjustments. But were you able to? Obviously, we were able to talk to them while they were away. But I mean, did they take what you were saying and even exceed your maybe expectations where they would be hitting wise coming back?
They did. They really did. They really picked up where they left off, and we do got a bunch of workers. So I mean, I encourage guys when we shut down to just take a step back, and I think we all kind of had some life anxiety, kind of figure out what's going on. But once mentally they got back into it, they were back at it, and they were back to their routines. And we always say, like, embrace the monotony of the day-to-day of hitting. And they came back as ready as I've ever seen a group. And I communicated a lot with our new guys, kind of what we do, what we expect. And, the power of Zoom is a great thing, as we're seeing now. So I was so proud of them when they came back, because we stepped in ready to go, and we picked up where we left off. We plugged the new guys into our system, older guys helping them out on our day-to-day routine, because that's the most important thing we do. And, they've really, really bought in and done a really good job.
Gabe.
Coach, Ben was talking a little earlier about how this could be a class recruiting wise, where in 3-4 years you see, and you say the development has been really good. Obviously there's no better development story than Spencer going undrafted to number 1, but how do you create a development plan that gets the most out of guys over their time at ASU?
I'm really big on consistency in your day-to-day, and then just making adjustments. So our formula really is we like to create our drills and things we do in the cage off of our game stuff. So every guy has an individual routine, and Spencer's routine was different than Carter Aldretti's routine, was different than Hunter's. And I don't know, I can't speak to what any other coaches do, but I've heard stories of, schools you come in and they make everyone be the same. Well, that's not what we do. We let everyone be their, own individual hitter, own individual work within our system. And I think it's really helped. And you pair guys together who are similar. So, you pair a Kai Murphy with a Hunter Jump, you pair Drew Swift with Hunter Haas, you pair Connor Davis with like a Nick Chima. So I just think us giving them the freedom, but at the same time, the freedom within our system is really helped. And I think it's proven that it's worked, with guys like Spencer and Hunter and Alika and Trevor. All 4 of those guys were different guys, and we allowed them to be different in their day-to-day work and preparation and within a team setting.
Jeff.
No one's trying to put Spencer Torkelson expectations on Connor Davis, but so many good things have been said about him and how he's adjusted and what the experience he brings. What's kind of your view on what he brings to help fill some of the gaps?
Yeah, and just to touch on that, and I told the guys, I go, look, like, anyone here is trying to be Torkelson, you're kind of chasing a ghost. Like, let's just, what he did well was be yourself. And that's what I told Connor early on, because I know, just reading, headlines, he's coming in to play first, same position. And what he's done well is not try to be anything but himself. And he's continued to get better. And, He's a different hitter than Spence. I think raw power wise, when he gets one, he can hit it relatively as far. But Spence, like he can do that more often than other people. So with Connor, he's good, man. Like gets down in the count, he can spray the ball the other way. He doesn't give up at bats. He's a big guy, but he's a big guy who will hit like a little guy at times, which is good. Like he can be scrappy when he's down in the count, and he's just mature. You get a fifth-year guy from an SEC school who, those coaches hated losing him. It wasn't one of those guys that they wanted to get rid of. So he's a huge addition to us. As he's already stepped in as a leader, and the performance has really spoke for itself. And I expect him to have a really, really productive year for us and be a mainstay in the middle of the lineup.
Jacob.
Not that everybody is going to have even close to Joe's speed, but it sounds like speed and the stolen base might be a huge asset to you guys this year in general, whether that's him or Drew or Sean McLean with his speed. What do you think the change in the dynamic as far as how you guys are going to be effective? Is that the new theme this year? It's just more of the contact, speed, stealing bases stuff. What has been the biggest change?
Yeah, I think you will definitely see more of that. I mean, we've pivoted well, like I said before, and you touched on the guys who can really, really run. Joe's an outlier, but Drew Swift and Sean McLean, those guys are fast too. I mean, those guys have, if Joe has elite speed, those guys have close to it. So I think, honestly, we kind of got a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. I think how the game plays out each day will determine how we play. I mean, we're going to be super ultra aggressive, but if it's one of those days where we're popping some, we might revert back to being a little more conservative on the bases, letting our guys hit. And I think when we need to force the action, we'll be able to, because we got guys who can put pressure on, the defense with their speed, taking extra bases, stealing bases. And we've been really good with our bunting this fall. We've taken that up a notch, just situationally, period. We've had whole practices where we're just situational hitting, moving runners, getting guys in from third base, two-strike hitting. And they have really, bunting and hit and run, all that stuff. You can have perfect technique, but if you don't have intent to do it and get it done, you're not going to do it. And these guys have really exceeded my expectations on all that early on.
Would you say that this is one of the better teams that you've had an opportunity to work with in terms of its ability to operate small ball well in terms of the execution of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it is. Just because the personnel we have and the style of play we're going to give, we got a lot of guys who are comfortable with doing that. And, like I said, I just can't say they're just bought in. They're bought in, they're locked in, and we got a group of guys who just want to win. And it really, really shows. So yes, you're correct.
Alex.
Nate Baez was someone last year who found a role as a freshman. What did you sort of learn about him in that role? And then going forward, what has he been working on throughout the fall?
Nate's the best. I mean, he's the one guy on the team, like, hey, you're getting in a street fight. Who do you want with you? I'm like, I want Nate Baez, no hesitation. And he brings that kind of mentality in the box too. He's tough. He's as tough as it gets. And he's made a lot of stuff we worked on last year, a little bit with his hand load and being a little smoother. He had come in day one and he had corrected it. So we were able to, move past that and get onto some other stuff. And he's done a really good job. He's flashed some power. Like he has one of our top guys raw power wise when he gets a hold of the baseball, but he's done a really good job when he gets down in the count, spoiling pitches and hitting balls the other way. And it just goes back to, he had he was tough and had some mechanical flaws. So he was a hard out. Now he's tougher. Mechanically, he's way better. Approach is better. So it's coming together for him a lot. And, he's one of those guys you could look up at the end of the year and be like, wow, like Nate could be the best hitter on our team at the end of the year. He has that capability. So I think the sky's the limit with him just because of the toughness he brings, the mentality, competitiveness, but also, he's got a really good swing.
Cole.
Hey, Coach. I talked to Ben earlier about Jack Moss and the routine and like the ability, like, the hitting ability he's brought to the program already. But I wanted to get your perspective. What is how has his impact sort of resonated with everyone, especially with you, in regards to his routine and everything that he does in the cage and on the field, as a hitter, what do you really like about him?
It's funny with Jack starting off when we were recruiting with him. I met with him in my office, him and his father, and he had more questions for me than I had for him. He wanted to know everything, our routine. What are you going to do to make me better? What is our day to day? And he really grilled me. And so he came in, and his routine and day-to-day preparation is of someone who's been here 5 or 6 years. He's above and beyond a freshman as far as day-to-day stuff, activity, and making adjustments. He has a chance to be a star here one day, like one of those mainstay guys. You look back after he gets drafted his junior year, and he had a heck of a career. So Jack really has a lot of ability. He has a knack to hit. He has, a few things here and there he's going to have to clean up, just like everyone does as a freshman, but he can really swing the bat, and he's just really mature for his age, like above and beyond his years. He's not a typical freshman in the batter's box. And I think as the season progresses, he could really, really do big things for us.
Garrett.
How's it going, Coach? Tracy was saying earlier just that Sean was probably one of the guys that's made one of the biggest jumps so far this fall. Kind of, would you agree with that? And just maybe what could be for this upcoming season, since he was going to start opening night, then of course got injured and didn't really get out on the field much before the season got canceled. So what have you seen from him so far?
Well, the size of his arms are like double what they were last year. I mean, he put on some weight in a good way. Like, he's super strong, and the ball just sounds different off his bat. Like, it's not the same sound as it was before. And, we're working on with him. He had a little bit of we like to slide a little forward with his hips when he hit, and the ball would get on him. And he's done a really good job with the added strength, maintaining his base and staying strong and making adjustments in the batter's box. And Sean's one of those guys too. He's so competitive that it kind of takes over sometimes when he's in the box, and he just wants to, rip that guy's throat out instead of just focus on what he needs to do. And he's great. I mean, I think he's hit 3 or 4 home runs this fall, but other than that, I mean, he's spraying balls the other way, and he causes havoc on the bases. So he did a really good job this offseason taking advantage. I know he worked with his brothers a lot and his dad, and he came back. I mean, I don't know the weight. It's got to be 10 or 15 pounds of straight muscle, and it really shows. And you hear it. It just sounds different when he hits the ball now.